Alex, what's going on?
Hey, David. Going great. How are you doing, man?
Good to see you. It is sunny in San Diego. I'm jealous.
A little bit. It's like gray. It actually, with the camera, looks pretty light. It's raining a little bit, but
Okay.
hey, can't complain.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to see you after seeing you in person 3 weeks ago. And now I'm coming back to San Diego next week. So maybe we can connect then again.
Definitely, man. I'll be here this time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Do you want to give everyone like a brief overview of your background?
Yeah, for sure.
And then uh, kind of wanted you to kind of teach some of those basics for doing your first deal. And then we can get into answering the Q&A about real estate investing and driving for dollars.
Yeah, that sounds great, David.
Perfect.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me, man. Glad to be here at the DealMachine fam. I want to commend everyone for being here too. I mean, this is like what it takes to get ahead. Learning like this, constantly learning, always having that student mindset. So good job if you're here. Yeah, so for me, guys, I came down to San Diego for college, man, like 8 years ago. And, growing up, I liked doing like lemonade stands and stuff like that. And always kind of wondered like how my friends' parents who had like the mansions or big houses, how they got there, right? And I found like a lot of them were like entrepreneurs or CEOs, or a lot of them were in real estate investing. And so when I went to college, I was studying business, and so I knew I wanted to get into real estate investing and started studying about it as much as I could. And it's funny, it's cool to see like the evolution over like the last 8 years of how like wholesaling and stuff kind of blew up, and it wasn't really as on the forefront then. So I kind of like find it and dig for it and learn about it. And I was able to seek out a lot of different mentors and learn from a lot of different people. But within 45 days, when I was like 19, turning 20 years old, I did that first deal as a wholesale deal, and that like changed my life because I made $22,000 of profit on that deal. And that was probably from like about 2 weeks of work. And I was working on different deals, but that particular deal was like 8 hours. And, I made a check that's like more than 1/3 of the salary people say, hey, you got to go to college for 4 years to then, that's what you got to do to get that salary. And I did that in like 2 weeks. And so from there, that was just the taste that I needed to go all in. And my first year did, over 50 deals, acquired over 50 deals. And those were wholesales, fix and flips. It was like over 12 million real estate. So real estate's a little pricier here in San Diego than other places. Was over like 1.2 million in profit from all the wholesales and fix and flips. And then since then, just kind of started different wholesaling companies. Been a consultant for national real estate investing companies, worked with companies on TV show Flip This House. And really, yeah. And really, I guess for me, going from not knowing anything about real estate, I didn't have any family members in real estate. I don't have like a trust fund or anything like that. My parents had regular jobs growing up, so I had to learn a lot of this stuff for myself. And a lot of that happened from not spreading myself thin, but going all in on real estate investing and like just a couple of different strategies to be able to get these deals. And I think that, well, I know that anyone can do this. If I can do this, anyone can do this, definitely. And so I think, yeah, I'd love to talk about some principles on how to get started, what I recommend. I don't want to say that, building a successful wholesaling, fixing, and flipping business is the hardest thing. It's not the easiest thing. It's simple. You just need to do the work and be consistent with it. But there's no reason why anyone here can't accomplish whatever they want through real estate. I mean, real estate's given me what I want in life, and I just keep reinvesting back into real estate. I keep learning more about real estate. And, I think you're doing the same too, because once you're in it, the more strategies come up, the more cool things you find, like DealMachine, that makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. So
when you did that first wholesale deal that was $22,000, how long ago was that?
That was like 8 years or 7 years, probably 7 years.
And have you continued to focus mainly on wholesaling, or what was like the weight on fix and flips and stuff that you did?
Yeah, I mean, I like doing both wholesaling and fixing and flipping. So what I do, I help a lot of people to start their own wholesaling businesses now. So I help train them and get them through any obstacles they have now. So that's where I spend a lot of my time consulting with them. Advise over 200 real estate investors across the US, UK, and Canada now. But I love fixing and flipping too. It's so fun. It's great bringing something from an idea into reality and improving neighborhoods and decreasing crime rates. Like that's what you do as a fix and flipper.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had deals. I mean, I can talk about deals where I've lost money and you learn a lot. I definitely lost like over 20,000 on one deal in a fix and flip, but also I've had over $250,000 profit on a fix and flip. So there's definitely more risk. I think that for any beginner, I totally recommend wholesaling first. It's where you should cut your teeth, where you can do it with no risk whatsoever, protect yourself with inspection contingencies. And every single deal, whether you do a wholesale deal and it's successful and you get it, or you don't get that deal, or a cash buyer doesn't want it, at the end of the day, that's still a learning experience, getting you closer to that next deal. And, you know, before this call, I brought out some books. Like one of my favorite books is The Obstacle's the Way by Ryan Holiday. And basically what this is saying, like, there's no such thing as failure. There's just feedback. So, you know, whether you're sending, you know, you send 100 mailers and you haven't hit that 200 mailer yet, or 200 properties, like keep going, use everything as feedback. And if you do that and you have that learning mindset, then nothing's going to stop you. And I think that the second you think you know it all is the second you start declining. So I love being on here. I love learning new things. I know I'm going to learn a lot too today. I hope everyone else learns a lot too.
Well, there's definitely going to be some questions that you're going to help me answer. Before that, did you want to talk about those basics, those basic principles that you've kind of come to realize after 7 to 8 years of doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you're like, you're an advanced wholesaler or fix and flipper, you're doing a lot of real estate investing deals, you know, these might be things that you know, but I think it's always a good reminder, a good refresher. So number one, and I love this, David, because you send out a reminder all the time. 200 properties, add to DealMachine, 3 mailers gets you a deal. And it's so the principle here is you need to know your numbers. You need to know how many offers you need to send to get a deal. You need to know how many properties you need to add a DealMachine to get a deal. Otherwise, if you don't, it's like going through life with blinders on. And then it's like, at the end of the day, you can't quantify the work that you did.
Right.
And it feels like you're just treading water and you're not making any progress.
Yes. And the biggest thing that's frustrating that I see all the time is they will go into it not knowing how many deals they need to add, and then they will quit too early when they've only added 20 deals or 30 deals.
Yep.
So that's why I really wanted them to know, not that 200 is a magic number, but they need to have an expectation that's in the right ballpark.
Absolutely. You absolutely need that. And some people will do 100 properties and get a deal. Some people might be 250 and they'll get a deal, but it's a ballpark for you to baseline your numbers off of.
Right.
And then probably over time, as you improve and things get better, those numbers will improve too. Your ratios, maybe you're increasing, or you're bettering the mailers you're sending out, or you're getting better on appointments with sellers, direct sellers. So those numbers will improve, but you have to know those numbers. So, you know, KPIs, know those things. That's something we always track, because if I can know, okay, cool, each week I'm sending 10 offers out, and I know that for every 20 offers I'm sending, I'm getting a deal. That's great, because each day you can make progress and continue to move forward. And that's what's important at the end of the day. If you don't know your KPIs, you don't know your numbers, you can't track it, you can't improve.
Right.
So starting there, and that's what I love, you know, about what you send out all the time. Everyone here, it gets that information, that data. So they need to start there. You know, and this leads into another one, is that, you know, not every deal is going to work out. And that's, you know, kind of obvious, but we can't be discouraged when you have an appointment with the seller and things just don't go right, or they don't want to work with you. Or, I mean, man, when you meet with the seller, there's so many different types of sellers you can meet with. You know, you can be sitting at a table smoking, they're smoking a cigarette, blowing in your face. Like, or you could meet the most awesome seller ever who's got 3 properties that they want to sell. But don't go into it with the intention that every deal you meet up with, have an appointment, that you're going to get, because then you're going to set yourself up for like sadness and failure. So if you know that you're not going to get every deal, use it as a learning experience, you're going to have such better progress. You're going to have the right mindset, you're going to be able to continue moving forward. And once again, you know, not looking at a deal not working out, not looking at that as like failure, but look at that as feedback. Just always improve, always improve.
So I wanted to jump in and say, if somebody asks, what is a KPI? So that means key performance indicators. And so your first principle was kind of knowing your KPIs and your expectations for those, right? So that was where that question came in. And then number two is what I heard was feedback, not failure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And feedback, not failure, knowing that not every deal is going to work out. So just use everyone as a learning experience.
Right, because you have to make so many offers before you would even expect to have one accepted.
Yep.
But people don't realize that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so important, you know, as a beginner, you've got to have the right expectations because you really can accomplish whatever you want through real estate investing. And if you don't have the right expectations, if you think that you'll send one mailer and get a deal, like that's not good. You know, you're going to probably quit because you have the wrong expectations. So I'm huge on saying expectations the right way. I'm huge on saying, hey, don't think you're going to get a deal in 30 days. Like, let's plan to say maybe, hey, 90 to 180 days. And now if you get a deal sooner, you're going to be able to, you're going to be a lot happier. And then also you're going to be focusing on the process more because what a lot of people do when they say, oh, I need a deal in 7 days or 14 days, they're cutting corners. They're not learning. They're not absorbing. They're trying to do 20 things at once. And so when you have that long-term mindset, now you're focusing on the process. Now you're focusing on consistency. And now you're doing the things each day that's going to move the needle forward. Yeah.
Is there a third principle that we should be writing down in our journals?
Yeah. So this is like know your numbers part 2. So,
okay.
And not not KPIs, but I'm talking about being able to comp properties to know the ARV. You got to understand the repairs on the property as well. You know, at some point when when you're doing an ARV, calculating the after repair value of a property, the future sales price of it, it's always an estimation at some point. But our goal, you know, if you're a wholesaler, fix and flipper, you want to get that number down to the T as much as possible. And if you want to be like a pro at this game, if you want to actually make money, knowing those numbers is going to allow you to get larger wholesale fees. It's going to allow you to get taken seriously from cash buyers, from other partners, from hard money lenders for deals, everything like that. And then knowing the repairs on deals is so important as well. And this is something that a lot of people skip over. Like, it's fun to focus on the marketing. It's fun to go out there, but, you know, become a student of this. And, you know, another book I recommend for the repair side of things is, this one's really good. Like the book of estimating rehab costs.
Yes. I have that on PDF and it's like published by Bigger Pockets.
Yep.
I remember buying that. I mean, it's not that expensive, right? But it breaks it down every part of the house, how much it's going to cost based on the square footage of the house and the quality.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. It's what you need to know. I mean, if you're starting out wholesaling and you eventually want to fix and flip as well, you got to know the repair numbers. You got to be able to analyze this.
Right.
And, I think we all see, I mean, especially throughout the years, in my first year of wholesaling real estate, I was looking at other wholesalers' deals, and pretty much like 99% of the deals that were sent to me were not deals. The ARV completely inflated. The repairs are deflated. They don't know their numbers. And I would give it to another team member, and I wouldn't even look at properties anymore from wholesalers. And so when you take the opposite approach as a wholesaler, know that, hey, cash buyers, if your numbers are not on point or in the ballpark of what they actually are, they're not going to pick up your phone calls. They're not going to respond to your emails. They're not going to take you seriously. And it's nothing to be afraid about. It's just like, hey, pick up this book, you know, read it cover to cover. It's super interesting. And now you can be a pro at your numbers and have a really good baseline, be able to back up your numbers, justify your numbers when you talk to cash buyers. And so you got to know those numbers. You got to be a pro with those numbers.
So I just asked Hannah if she could find the link to that book so she could put it in the chat, because I want everybody to at least know about it if they're struggling with finding the rehab costs, because it gives you so much more confidence when you know the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've looked at other books too. This one's just get this one, man. It's like $10-$20 and it's going to make you tens of thousands. So it's totally worth it. You know, after that, one thing I like to do too with cash buyers, another principle is, you know, there's different methodologies on this, David, of cash buyers. Some people like to find hundreds. and then blast a deal out if they have a deal under contract. Cash buyers are the guys buying your wholesale deals, typically fix and flippers a lot of the time. But, instead of focusing on finding hundreds of cash buyers and what I call, what a lot of beginners do is they find a lot of these faceless cash buyers. They don't build relationships with them. Maybe only what they have is like one little email of what they hear was a cash buyer, and they blast out this deal to a bunch of people. And then they wonder why they don't get a high response rate, or they wonder why these buyers aren't buying their deals. And so what I always like to do, if you're a beginner starting out, don't focus on finding hundreds. Focus on finding 3 quality cash buyers in your area, actively doing deals, sophisticated fix and flippers, doing 3 to 10 deals a month. We don't want the fix and flipper that's typically only doing like 1 deal a year, who's doing it as a hobby. Find the fix and flippers that have the systems, the processes in place. So if you send them a deal and you have a deal under contract, they can get back to you like in an hour.
Yeah.
You just, send them the ARV, the repairs, their purchase price, and they're going to be able to analyze it with their team and get back to you as soon as possible. They're
100%.
local, they know the market, and it really speeds up the process. I think a lot of beginners think they need to find like hundreds of cash buyers, or they think that like cash buyers are mythical creatures. They're not. They're real human beings. You just need to find 3 good ones in your area. And do you mind if I share my like Google Ninja trick to find cash buyers?
Yeah, I think, maybe just ask everyone. You guys want to see a trick for finding cash buyers? I don't even know what it is, but I want to see it.
Yeah.
There. All right. We got some yeses. Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool, man. So I call this one my Google Ninja trick. I like this one a lot. Super simple too. A lot of my students have used it. One of my new students, Brandon, used it to wholesale a $12,000 deal. He found all the buyers he needed in 5 days doing this. He said if he put his mind to it, he could have done in 1 day. So what I like to do for this trick is, I put myself in the mind of a seller who wants to sell their home quickly. What do they typically do? Well, sometimes a lot of people don't go to their family members saying, man, I'm facing like foreclosure, I'm in a distressed situation. But what a lot of people do, and what a lot of people tell their deepest, darkest secrets to, is Google. And so if you go to Google and pretend you're a seller, and let's say you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you want to find a cash buyer there, and you're a wholesaler and you want to find cash buyers using this trick. Pretend you're a motivated seller, and go to Google, type in "sell my house fast Albuquerque," search that. Now what you're going to find are fix and flip companies, other companies that want to buy houses all cash in the Google search results instantaneously. You're going to see dozens and dozens of properties if you go on the first page, the second, the third page. So type in "sell my house fast" for any city you're at across the nation, guys. If you want to find cash buyers in your city, you have a deal right now, you're trying to unload, type in "sell my house fast," type in your city name as well, search that, and now go through. You now can find the phone numbers, the emails of these companies actively doing deals. You can vet these companies. A lot of these companies have the actual properties they're working on. So you can see, hey, is this a wholesaler pretending to be a fix and flipper, or an actually fix and flipper that can be a cash buyer? You can type in other phrases as well, like "stop foreclosure fast Albuquerque," and you're going to find these cash buyers that are trying to rank well for these topics. And so literally in 1 minute, you can find cash buyers in your area. Such a great starting point. You don't need to wait for that real estate investing association meeting. And that's a big trick. I mean, I use it all the time. If someone brings me a deal and it's in a different state and they want to co-wholesale it with me, first thing I do is say, hey, what city is this in? Go to Google. There we go. All the cash buyers I need. Start there.
Gotcha. Love that trick.
Did that help?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, it helps. I loved that trick. What about you guys? You guys know that one before? We're getting some thanks and amazing. So I think they liked it a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, it's so simple, right, guys? It's so simple, but I think like after a while of doing this, you're like, oh, like.
Yeah, it's super practical.
Yeah, it's easy to connect the dots looking backwards, as the late Steve Jobs would say.
Yeah. So are there any more principles that you want to share, or would you prefer to jump into some questions?
So we can definitely jump into questions. I think that I definitely have like other things I can get into, but I think the first one is for everyone to protect themselves. On any contract you write, just be able to protect yourself with inspection clauses, inspection contingencies.
Yeah.
And what that is saying, hey, if this property doesn't pass my personal inspection, then I can back out of that contract. So you're not liable. So I've never I've done well over 100 plus deals. I've never had to buy a deal that I didn't want to buy because I always had an inspection clause.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people reach out to me over the years, David, that don't include an inspection clause in their contract. And they find a random contract online. They send it to a seller. It's signed and there's no contingencies. And so basically, if you have a contract with no contingencies, guys, you're saying, hey, I agree to buy your property no matter what. And that's kind of crazy. Like no one would do that in their right mind. Like you probably want to buy a car no matter what. You probably want to inspect that too. So always protect yourself as much as you can with inspection contingency. So yeah, if you guys are advanced, if you haven't wholesaled a deal before, this probably helped you a lot. If you're more advanced, then you probably have heard of these things before, but these are just some staple principles. Always abide by these. They don't change. I've seen them be true for 8 years.
Yes.
So yeah, love to jump into some questions.
I was going to pull up what that actually looks like, what those words look like real quick for anyone who hasn't seen that before. Can you guys see my screen?
I see it.
Cool. Oh, all right. So it's number 7 and 8 right here. 7 talks about inspections, and then 8 talks about that it's contingent upon being able to inspect everything, and then 2, engage a professional inspector. That could be just your contractor who's going in to estimate costs. Or if you have that book, you could feel really comfortable estimating them yourself. And then the inspection has to satisfy you as the buyer. And if it doesn't satisfy you, then you can get out of the contract.
Right. And that's so huge because people always ask, how do you do this with no risk? People say you can do this with no risk, no capital, and you can wholesale without having to put any capital into the deal. But how do you do it with no risk? You protect yourself with a contingency like that. So that's how you do this, no risk. So always remember that. Always protect yourself. If you haven't done your first deal yet, you want that on every single contract, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
All right. I'll get off that screen share.
Cool.
So, so I've seen some questions come through the chat. So I can tee those up for you if you want.
Cool.
So I saw one come through that was pretty relevant though. Somebody said, what do you do for your earnest money deposit?
Yeah. So there's different scenarios, right? There's not just one size fits all. So if you need to put an earnest money deposit in, it's typically due within 72 hours of when the contract's signed. So what I like to do is find all my cash buyers first. And this is what I teach everyone to do. So use the Google Ninja trick we just talked about. And one day you could find the cash buyers that you need to actually talk with them, find these, talk with these cash buyers, build a relationship with them. Don't have them be a faceless cash buyer. Know where they want to buy property. And if you build a relationship with them first and you have a deal under contract, the second gets under contract, you could send that to your cash buyer, assign it to your cash buyer, and within 72 hours, assign that deal and have them put the EMD in. So I've wholesaled a lot of deals within 72 hours of getting under contract. So I've never had to put in the EMD. So that's just one way. So speed's the name of the game in that process. And you really need to line up your cash buyers first, develop a relationship with them, get coffee with them, get lunch with them. So look at this person, look at the cash buyers as, like partners in your business. You may not be in the same entity, but you guys both want the same goal at the end of the day. Everyone wants to win. If you find them a good deal, they'll pay you a wholesale fee, pay you $10,000. You want them to make a profit on that deal. So they're licking their chops. They're emailing you, they're texting you, they're calling you, say, hey, when's that next deal going to come? So.
All right. So do you think that they will always have time to talk with a new wholesaler starting out?
Do you think a cash buyer? Do I think a cash buyer always does?
Yeah. So, I was just thinking about in my market in Indianapolis, if you Googled that, one of the top few would be Simple Wholesaling. And they've got a monthly meetup where they're always trying to help new wholesalers. So that way the wholesalers can bring those properties to them. And, but I was wondering, do you think all of the We Buy Houses companies are what you're saying you're going to find with that Google hack? Do you think they're all going to want to sit down and have lunch?
No, and they're definitely not. And that's about setting the expectations right from the beginning. Not every single deal is going to work out. Not every cash buyer is going to want to talk with you. And the really cool thing about being a real estate investor, you're an entrepreneur too. You get to pick and choose who you work with. So if someone's not responding to you, if you don't like working with someone, that's their problem. You're an entrepreneur. You pick your own schedule when you want to work, all those things. So you don't have to work with them. But there's an abundance of cash buyers out there. So don't think they're scarce. Like just type in what we talked about, these different phrases on Google, and you'll find more than enough. So if you talk to 5 cash buyers or you call them or email them and no response, keep going. Like there's no end to it. And you never want to stop finding cash buyers as well. So not everyone's going to want to sit down, get coffee, get lunch, but you make it easier for this cash buyer to develop a relationship with them by offering to buy them lunch, by offering to stop by their office and bring them coffee. So make it as easy as you can for them to be able to develop a relationship with them. If you're making them jump through hoops, drive to you, just make it as easy as you can with them. And so I recommend bringing them coffee, going to their office, asking them questions about their business, let them know you want to bring them deals, you want to help grow their business, and you're going to be in good hands.
Love it. Somebody said, I think the question was also about the inspection period and how long do you give yourself to let your buyers inspect the property? And do you let them come all at once, or do you have them come whenever they feel like it?
Yeah, it's always dependent upon the situation. It's never completely cookie cutter. In more advanced markets, if we're in like San Diego, like a 7-day inspection contingency on a contract is normal, like 7 days from when you get the property under contract. So you have 7 days to essentially wholesale this because it's your protection period. Sometimes it's less. So, I'll let the cash buyers take as long as they need to take. But if you're dealing with sophisticated companies, there's sophisticated fix and flippers out there doing 3 to 10 deals. They're doing volume. They understand that these deals are hot and they're going to do whatever they need to get this deal under contract as soon as possible. Let you know if it's going to work. If they say, hey, this deal doesn't work, get feedback from them as well. Why isn't it working? Were your repairs off? Was your ARV off? So it's always dependent. Of course, you always want to have the longest inspection time period as you can. Always try and negotiate that in, especially if you're dealing directly to sellers. It's going to protect you, give you more time to wholesale the deal. And then setting up the appointments. I always like to do like one at a time personally, and walk through with my cash buyers as well if they need to be there, just so I make sure everything's kosher. And then
interesting. Because I've heard a lot of the opposite advice, which is have everyone come in this one window. That way they feel the pressure to like offer higher.
So as a beginner, if you have no reputation whatsoever, having everyone meet at the same time can be really good, because now they see, whoa, you're serious. You talk to other people, you have these other relationships, and they definitely could bid against each other. But one of the things I like to do with my cash buyers when I meet with them individually is I'm getting feedback from them if they like the property, like if they do, if they don't. I don't look at every deal as someone's going to buy it 100%. They may need extra persuasion. They may look at something, they're like, I don't know about this, or, the ARV is not right, and they're at the property. And now I'm able to say, well, did you see, hey, comp number 1, 2, and 3 that sold in the last 6 months? And this thing's selling well over 400 and talk with them there. So, throughout the years, I got my real estate license as well. My first 3 years of investing, I didn't have it, but I did get that. And then as a listing agent, I've sold some property too. And it's the same thing when, an appraiser needs to go to the property and appraise the property so it sells to the right price. I meet with the appraiser at the property too. He's got to come up with a number in his head on what the actual price is going to be so the buyer can buy it. So I'm used to meeting them at the property. I like that. I like developing the relationship even more with my cash buyers. And then also it follows up with my principle of, hey, let's focus on a few solid cash buyers that can buy a lot of volume from you instead of 100 different ones. So if you have 3 guys that respond to your text in minutes and are ready to rock, a lot of times I'll take a little less on a wholesale fee if I know that this person's trustworthy, they can close the deal 100%, than trying to squeeze out like an extra couple grand. So I'm more about the relationship, the long term, and that's my approach as I've gone on and seen this.
Gotcha. So we've got somebody that has raised their hand, which is a feature So what I'm going to do is see if she wants to come on and ask her question on video, which is
Awesome.
always fun to break things up. You're getting a lot of love in the chat.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. Let's keep it rolling, huh?
Jennifer Penna, are you there? Can you hear us? We'll give Jennifer a second.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay. There she is. Hey, Jennifer. Oh, we can't hear you though. Can you see if you can unmute yourself? Oh no.
Looks like we're getting close.
We are getting close. Jennifer, keep working on that. Let's see. All right, so Erica Tunnel, keep at Jennifer. I know you can find it. Erica Tunnel said, "How do you analyze commercial mixed use without comps?" Is that a question in your area of expertise?
I've comped a lot of different properties, and it's hard to comp anything without comps, because then you can't comp. So, I mean, at that point, so I haven't wholesaled, I haven't built mixed use properties, but if I'm comping a house or an apartment building or a mobile home park, I'm comping it with that same exact asset.
Mm-hmm.
So if the comps there, and my mindset is there's always another deal around the corner that does have comps, I would not rack my brain. I would not try and stress out on these deals and try and make them work. If I'm having an issue making it work and comping this property, probably the actual buyers for this deal are going to have an issue making it work. A lot of people are going to have an issue making it work. So my philosophy is there's always another deal out there. I would focus on another deal that does have comps personally. Or if you really want to make this mixed use property work, you need to find a mixed use property professional in your area and talk with them about it and get their opinion.
So she asked if she could explain. So I invited her to come on. And then Jennifer, I know we couldn't get your audio working, but if you could ask your question in the chat, we'll definitely answer it for you. Hey, Erica.
Hi.
How are you doing tonight?
Good evening. How are you, David?
So good.
I'm okay. How you doing, Alex?
Hey, Erica. Great. How are you?
I'm so excited about tonight. So I just always make sure that I'm on just to kind of, listen to what you guys are doing because it adds value.
Awesome.
So I currently have a commercial mixed 2 property, and my market is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And one of the things that I had an issue with was comps. I found one comp that was like $585K, but for that area, so something must have happened in that particular deal. It may have been a package deal. But what I found is a lot of people like to do look at the net operating income for commercial mixed properties, like how much are the rents? How much ROI will you get out of it? So that's how it's kind of done here in Philadelphia. So I am trying to find out how I can become better at this, because when it comes to multifamilies, that's what a lot of people use. They take the gross rents and all that kind of stuff. A lot of times here, especially in Philly, there are not a lot of comps for commercial mixed properties. So now you have to analyze it with real numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was asking the question.
Yeah. So commercial is different than doing a single family home comp. In commercial, you need to know the cap rate for your area in that asset class, which you can get by talking to like a commercial broker, and then take expected income times the cap rate, and there's your price.
So are you suggesting that I build a relationship with a commercial broker?
I mean, just ask.
Okay.
It's just a simple question. I think you just need to make sure the source is credible.
Okay, make sure the source is credible. All right.
Or,
So the first,
I think you could even look at like LoopNet, which is commercial properties only. And then you could see what kind of if you could find some similar type of properties there, see what kind of cap rates they're advertising.
I knew he knew the daggone answer. I knew he knew.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, definitely use LoopNet. LoopNet's like the redfin.com for commercial property. So definitely use LoopNet to see what other properties are selling for, what's familiar in the area. And then, yeah, talking to commercial real estate brokers as well in the area, know it really well, get their opinion. You know, whenever I'm not familiar with something, I'm always asking real estate agents in a specific area or commercial real estate agents. I'm always learning. You know, if I don't know something, I'm Googling it or I'm finding out the people who should know that information and just asking them. And a lot of times commercial brokers, real estate agents, they're really helpful when you let them know, hey, I'm a real estate investor and I have a potential deal here. Just want to see your thoughts on it. So you're familiar with the area. A lot of the times, majority of the time, they're extremely helpful because what goes around comes around. And you'll probably use them in the future, especially if they help you out.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm so grateful that I was able to come on and explain my position. Also, David, this commercial mixed property is in the North Philadelphia area, and I found this property driving for dollars using the DealMachine. And I'm about to send the assignment contract over to the buyer. We're about to close this deal.
That's amazing. So you already knew how to do it almost pretty much anyway.
Oh,
there we go. Great job, Erica.
Yeah. Plus I follow, I'm in plus I'm in the Driving for Dollars group, Dedrick and Crystal Polite. So, I'm just learning. I'm growing. This would be my first deal.
That's amazing. Please follow up with us about this deal.
I will.
Thanks
a lot.
All right. Thanks, Erica.
All right.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Great job, Erica.
So I'm going back to the beginning. Somebody had previously asked us, what are your thoughts on virtual wholesaling?
Yeah. There's no reason why it's not a feasible thing. There's many properties I've wholesaled without ever seeing the property. So so here's my thing. If you're a beginner, guys, and you hear about virtual wholesaling, I think it's 1,000 times easier to start wholesaling in your specific market than to start virtual wholesaling right away. Like in a different market and somewhere 3 states away, personally. I started out in my market so I can learn my buyer, so I can learn my area, so I can get the feel of the real estate, so I can drive around, so I can meet with different people here and really understand my area. Because as a beginner, there's a lot to learn about. I'm not saying you can't do it. You can't start virtually wholesaling in a different state, but I recommend starting in your area first, get some success there, and then duplicate what you did in your area in a different market. That's my expertise on it. So always recommend focusing in your area first. There's always deals there. And, I'm in a market like San Diego, which, some people say is ultra competitive. And I've worked with people here, never done a deal before, in like 3 weeks, do their first deal. So, don't think that, or don't use the excuse of my market's competitive, so I'm going to go virtual wholesale in another market. I still recommend starting in your own market personally as a beginner. Because imagine you're at a property and a seller wants to meet right away, or an agent has a property off market and wants to tell you about it and wants to meet in person. It's just so much easier when starting out in your market, from my personal experience.
Oren Markowitz says, I've never considered myself a salesy guy. What are your recommendations for what to say to a seller on the phone?
Yeah, well, I think we're all in sales. You don't have to be a salesy guy, but we're definitely all in sales here. And so I think
I would say I definitely identify with Oren though.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm a salesy guy. And it's almost like being in sales is kind of like intimidating feeling for me.
Yeah.
But I want to let you answer this. So I was just trying to tell Oren, I'll validate that. I understand where he's coming from.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. Right. We're all different, and we all have different strengths. So first off, I look at sales as like building a relationship and just connecting with another individual. First off, it's all about building rapport. And, So if a seller's calling to you or a seller's calling you or you're talking with them, see how their day's going, see what's going on, see where they live, see how
Right.
you can relate with them in one way or another. I mean, you don't even need to talk real estate in the first few minutes. Say, hey, how's it going? I'm a real estate investor in the area. How you doing? Oh, where do you live? Oh, awesome. Oh, I know, so-and-so, my kids go over there, da, da, da. And then you can start talking about the deal at that point, but it's about building a relationship and building rapport first.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, what to say. I mean, there's a million things to say to a seller, but I think from the sales perspective, yeah, it's just about building a relationship with people. And that's where it's like, these skill sets that you need to learn. That's why we hop on these calls. You get different ideas. I mean, there's people asking questions that you never even thought of that you're learning from. It's about picking up these books, pick up a book on building relationships or sales. And then you're going to just have other ideas. You're going to sleep on it. You're going to know what to say in the future. But I think if you focus less on the salesy part, I got to close this person, and focus more on how can I help this person out of the situation that they're in, and knowing that you're a problem solver and solutions provider, then you're always going to be coming from a helping mindset for them. We're trying to get them out of whatever distress situation they're in. So if they're facing foreclosure, cool. We want to stop that foreclosure. We want to get their house sold. You may have to do a short sale, which can be complicated, or you could just buy the house outright cash, and now you can stop the foreclosure sale. There's dozens of families that are facing foreclosure that have been able to buy their property and save them from years and years of credit ruin. So just always come first from building rapport with them, seeing what their issues are with a particular property, and letting them know that you can solve their problem for them and help them out. If you don't know the answer to their specific question, that's okay. You don't need to know the answers to everything. You can let them know, I'm going to get with my team and I'll get back to you on that. And that's what I say for anything that I don't know. Or, hey, that's a great question. Let me talk with my partners and I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
And I think when you have those things to say, or you understand you don't need to know all the answers, it relieves a lot of stress off of my shoulders. I think your shoulders too. And you don't need to do a one call close all the time too. So don't stress out about that.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that because when I did my first deal, I had reviewed some scripts. And so the scripts are helpful because they're just so practical. It's like, it would be great to know this about the house, this about the situation. How soon do you need to sell? And so I actually have a blog post I can share with some of those questions. But I think what was important for me to realize is when I got that call that ended up being my first deal, everything kind of went out the window. Like I didn't have a script memorized and I didn't have it in front of me. So I really just was like, hello. And he's like, I got your postcard and I want to sell my house. And I said, awesome. I can definitely help you with that. Like I would just need to come meet you and see the house. So when would you want to do that? And then he was like, how about tonight? And I said, great. And we set a clock, 6 o'clock was the time. And then I went and met him. So it was just like, oh, I didn't even need any of those scripts because he needed help and I could help him.
That's perfect, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Setting up the appointment's the most important thing on that call. And then, yeah, in some situations, some people don't want to meet up. And then a lot of times we're trying to find what's going on with the property as well. Any issues, mechanical issues. And a lot of times the sellers make their property seem like it was just built in 2019 when it's built in 1970 and needs a total repair job. But no, that's awesome, man.
All right. I've got a long question I'm reading through from Chris Gale or Gailey. So he's new to the real estate business. He's looking at wholesale. He used REI Skip to find the owner. The house isn't in the best shape. The house is going for $17,500. He says, I can bring him down to $13K, but the last 3 comps in the area are going for $56K. So I'm guessing those are in perfect condition. I'm guessing his house isn't in perfect condition. How would I sell him on that lower price? Because the rehab is going to cost almost as much as the ARV is going to be. Well, there you go. Show him that. What do you have to say?
Yeah, the deals and the data, the deals in there. So if you have actual contractor quotes that are saying the amount of work that needs to be done to bring it to full retail value, then I would just show them there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to help you out of the situation. Definitely, I'm in this to make. I have a business and I have a family to feed as well, but this is what it is. And so I'd love to work with you on this particular deal. I'd love to get you out of the situation. But as you can see here, it's going to cost $56,000, $56,384.32. And we really tried to pinch every penny we could on with our contractors. But for us to make this work, we absolutely can close on your timeline, everything that you need. We just need to come down to 13,000. How's that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I like to always, instead of come down, instead of negotiate, I always like, we just need to amend the price to 13,000. Amending is a lot softer than coming down,
Mm-hmm.
cutting down. Just amend it.
Yeah. That's so great. Because I did the same thing when I had this house I had under contract for 55,000. I shopped it around to some of those We Buy Houses Google results, like you mentioned.
Nice.
And they were all like, oh, we'll take it for 45 max. And so I was like, ooh, I'm going to buy this myself. But now I know it's too high because they won't take it at the price I have it. So I told him, I've got to, I really want to do this deal. I love the house. I can still close. Yeah. Like just as fast as you want, but we have to come down to this price because these are all the costs. And here's what I'm going to make. So I think it really kind of is disarming if you even include in that breakdown how much you're going to make and be like, well, this is my business. Like you said, I've got to feed my family. But so here's what my profit's going to be for doing this. And then all the renovation costs. So he was like, oh, I'm going to think about it. And then he accepted it like an hour later. So
Yeah,
I
you're being completely
love your approach
transparent.
because it actually worked well for me in the past.
Yeah, I mean, transparency. I mean, you're being 100% genuine, and people relate with that and can tell.
Mm-hmm.
You're not being salesy. It's the facts. It's the data.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're in the position of that not every deal is going to work, you're going to give this one your all. You're going to present them the facts, but you should be working on other deals in your pipeline too. And I think a lot of the times when we only have one deal, we get emotionally invested into it, and you can freak out sometimes. So. Just do exactly what David said and you'll be good. And I think always when you say, hey, what's the right thing to do in this situation? Or how can I be genuine? How can I be ethical? How can I be transparent? I think the situation always turns out great. And, there's a lot of people who cut corners in this business. There's a lot of people who don't act ethically, and they may get a deal here and there. They may make money quickly or quicker than others, but word gets around and people aren't going to work with them eventually. And as long as, once again, you have good morals, you act ethically, and you're transparent, you're going to have a great reputation and get deals for years to come.
Mm-hmm. I've got another question, and it says, do you send your purchase contract to sellers electronically? And if so, what service do you use, Alex?
Yeah, so I handle all my contracts through DocuSign. Yeah.
And do you always do it electronically, even if they're local?
I always have. Yeah. It's just easier. Unless they're not tech savvy whatsoever, then we'll use an actual written contract, but typically always use DocuSign.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always be flexible in the seller. If they're not comfortable, if they want to meet with you to sign the contract, meet with them there. It's almost like being a chameleon, always be flexible. There's, we can give you strategies on what to do, but knowing that you may need to custom tailor to what this seller needs every single time. But yeah, I always recommend DocuSign. I do a lot of different deals too with sellers, without sellers, and DocuSign just been great for 8 years.
So do you present it to them prior to sending the DocuSign, or do you actually just send it and let them open and read it for the first time, seeing that purchase price for the first time?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the majority of the deals I've done. I've always presented the offer price first.
Verbally on the phone?
Yeah, verbally, get a commitment, see how they feel. And, because I don't like just sending offers and then like hoping that this person wants it, because if you talk about an offer price then you may be able to, once you have a price, maybe 430 doesn't work with them, but 432 does, and we can talk about that. So if I just send an offer without talking about price at all to them, they can be alarmed by the price. I won't be able to back it up, or I won't be able to justify the reasons why my price is that way. So, for me, guys, my background, I guess my skill set, what I'm most comfortable with, I like talking to people and that whole building relationships thing. So I'm willing to talk about anything, talk through anything. And I'd rather be able to diffuse a situation over the phone if they don't like the offer price. Because I feel like if a person's rational, then we can always see eye to eye
Mm-hmm.
on the deal. So I always like to talk about the offer price first over the phone or in person.
All right. Somebody was asking if you recommend creating an LLC or wholesaling as me. That was from Latoya James.
Yeah. So I always recommend, starting an LLC. It's the name itself. It's limited liability corporation. It limits your liability. We're doing business here, but also I've had mentors tell me you have a business idea until you make any money. You don't have a business till then. So I've seen people get caught up and do I do an LLC? Do I file taxes as an S corp? And 6 months, 12 months go by and they haven't got a deal. So the most important thing is going to be sending mailers, submitting offers. And that's what's going to get you deals. Setting up an LLC is not going to get you deals. So now I've had students who've personally closed or personally wholesaled deals in their name and everything was A-okay. But what do I recommend if you have the funds, if you have the ability to do it? Set up an LLC. Is it absolutely necessary to get started? No. The most important thing is taking action to start getting deals.
I completely agree to that, because I think people get caught up in like, oh, I have to have an attorney. I don't want to say you should check with an attorney before using any type of legal document, especially that you receive through me. Because they're going to know the local laws and stuff. But I think an example is like, oh man, like my personal choice was like, I'm not going to form an LLC until I have earned some money, or I'm not going to get an accountant to help me save the most taxes until I have income to actually save something from. You know what I mean? I'm totally with you. Of course, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I'm with, and I've done it both ways. I've started an LLC and then made money immediately quickly after. But in my most recent businesses, I've made money first and then made LLCs, just validated an idea. The most part's taking action.
Mm-hmm. We've got some other questions coming in. Do you also have access to that chat?
Yeah, I do. I see it.
Okay. There's a few.
I'm scrolled down a while though. Getting some questions. Great stuff.
We are. I'm towards the bottom. I think I got most of the questions answered between you and Elise, who's been answering via chat. Somebody had asked me, do I have an example contract between me and the end buyer? And so I just typed in there like an assignment contract. So if you guys are interested in that, that's there. Do you see any here towards the bottom that you want to answer, Alex?
Sure. Yeah. Derek Mitchell, what type of LLC do you suggest? Just a regular LLC. You don't need to, once we start talking about like tax incentives and tax strategies, like let's make money first. So if you at least set up a regular LLC, you're going to be good to go. KJ Investments, you said, wait, send offers. What do you mean? Well, an offer is basically a contract to buy a property. So I look at this, like we probably all know the sport of hockey, right? And to score a goal, you need to shoot the puck into the goal. Now, not everyone scores 100%. Like Wayne Gretzky scored like 17% of the time, which is actually pretty high. He's MVP, but he didn't even score. He's one of the best hockey players. He didn't even score 100% of the time. So an offer is when you have a written offer or typed up offer, digital offer with a price on it, and you send it to a seller or you send it to someone selling their house. And the way I like to look at offers sent is like, that's my shot on goal. Like we have to submit these offers, get these offers out to even begin that conversation, because now the seller can accept that offer, they can reject it, or they can counter it. Either one, I'm happy, because I got other deals in the pipeline. If they accept it, great, we'll close on this deal, we'll sign this deal. If they reject it, I'm going to get feedback and try and see how I can save this deal. If they counter it, great, I've started a conversation. So submitting an offer is a process of getting that contract sent out. And the more quality offers you send, the more deals you're going to get. Just like the more mailers that you send, the more properties you add to DealMachine, the more deals you're going to get. So I always look at these things as offers being sent. That's one of the most important things. If you look in the mirror as a real estate investor after 30 days and you say, why the heck am I not getting any deals? Well, ask yourself, how many offers did you actually send? And if it's a very low amount, I mean, most people I talk to, David, most people are not getting the amount of deals that they want. And I ask them how many offers they're sending a month, and it's like between 0 and 1.
Right.
I'm like, there's your sign, right there. And, as a beginner, it's so important just to, focus. If you have DealMachine right now, David's revolutionized driving for dollars. Before you would drive around, write it down, something that would take hours or days that you can do in seconds now from your phone. So become great at this process, master this process. You don't need 5 different strategies. Focus on this one and get really great at it. And then Dave's giving you the ability to systemize and scale this thing, to hire these other people, to plug them in. I mean, that's, we're not here to create other jobs for ourselves. I know I'm not. I didn't do this to create another job for myself. I'm here to build a business. I'm here to be an entrepreneur. And the only way we're going to do that is to systemize and scale this thing. So, this is around offers, getting offers out, getting mailers out. How do we do that? How do we build a business? Use, systemize, and scale with DealMachine. You'll be able to get more offers out. So the more mailers you send, the more offers you're going to be able to send out.
Mm-hmm.
That's, the people I work with, they know I'm always asking, how many offers did you send out? If they say 0, like, there you go.
It looks like it's getting dark over there. I watched the sunset while you're answering that last question. I literally just moved from the last pane over to the concrete.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So Sarah, is there an average amount a wholesaler should make starting out or to shoot for? What I always recommend is 10,000. That's what we like to recommend. It can change in different areas, but always shooting for 10,000. You make more, awesome. You make a little less, great. That's still fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a reasonable amount. It's fair. It's a great starting point. I've got deals below 5,000 as well. Cool. It's a base hit to first base. I'm fine. Cool. 10,000. I look at that as like a double or triple, maybe. I'm making over 20K. It's a home run.
Yeah. Let me add to it though. In Indianapolis, there's some properties that are totally worth 10,000. So you may have to lower that a little bit in those cases if you're dealing with properties like that. Because your rundown properties are pretty low, right? And pretty high price still because you're in San Diego.
True.
But I think it goes back to and I love that I think that's what I would say pretty close to. I would say 7,000 probably, but I think it's about expectations of your location too. And it's the same thing as like, all right, I know I kind of have to add about 200 properties, maybe a little more. And then it's good to have that number as just like a benchmark. So you're like, all right, I know I can probably aim to make 10,000, maybe a little less if I'm just starting out. But I like that. I liked hearing that from you because it's a different answer than what I would have said.
Yeah. And I'm always like, shoot for a little more. If we don't get it, then we're still making 7K. We're still making 5K. We're still good. And the cool thing too, guys, there's that's an average amount. It's a benchmark. But the better you get at wholesaling, the more you learn. You should be able to start getting larger fees or better at negotiating and all these things. So it only gets better and better, and the deals start to get easier as you go. So know that you can improve these numbers. You can improve the amount of offers you're sending to get a deal. You can improve the amount of mailers you're sending to get a deal as you continue moving forward. And that's why it's so important to track these things, because really you should improve over time. you should track these things over time. So just remember that.
Mm-hmm. Whoa, they just poured in the questions here in the last 3 minutes. Feel like Alex is only obligated, well, he can leave anytime because I only asked for him to come till 8 p.m. So if you need to sign off, Alex, please feel free to do that. If you want to say and answer some more, that's fine too.
Yeah, I'm down to hang out. It's not every day I get to hang out with the DealMachine fam. Probably, I mean, I got about like 30-ish minutes, and then I got a hot day with my girlfriend. We're going to make some chili because it's been raining. So,
oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's answer a few more before you have to go.
Yeah.
Well, Keon wanted to know, how many offers do you send on average? Did you have a number?
So when starting out, so here's what I recommend. If you can get to the point, if you're just starting out, start with 1 offer a week. Just start there. But I want you to get to the point where you can get to 1 offer a day eventually. Now, depending on what system you use, what marketing string, because there's 100 different ways you can get deals. If you're using DealMachine, focus on what's going to give you the ability to send offers. What you should be focusing on is adding these properties into your DealMachine and sending them mailers. That's going to allow you to then be able to submit these offers on these properties and start these conversations. So I would focus on that. I would break it down on the KPIs that Dave has given you. Dave has systemized this, and so follow those KPIs. And so I guess I'd throw it back on you, Dave. How many, properties a day should someone add to their DealMachine, or a week?
Yeah. So if you're in a terrible neighborhood, you can add 60 properties an hour, if you're in a neighborhood that's kind of like my favorite, where it's kind of on the outskirts of town, the people who live there typically may work in like a blue collar job as like a service, like a plumber, an electrician, at a factory. And the houses were like built in the 60s, and you can drive through those neighborhoods and you can see which ones aren't updated yet. In those neighborhoods, I like to set a goal of like 12 to 15 an hour. So that's my sweet spot. But it totally depends on what neighborhood you're in. You can add, and you want to add 200 as fast as possible. So you could totally knock it out if you dedicated a weekend to it. If you're just able to do, a few hours every night here and there, it might take you 2 or 3 weeks. So it just depends on how much time you're willing to dedicate to it. And then,
awesome.
Yeah. So I know the question was about how many offers do you send out? Like, what would you say on average? Like, do you have to make 5 offers to get one accepted, or do you have to make 10 offers to get one accepted? What's your number?
Yeah. So, I mean, I use different strategies. I focus on a lot of different strategies, but for what we do, we see about 10 to 15 offers gets us 1 deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would say anyone that,
depending on the market.
Yeah. Anyone that you meet with, I would suggest giving a cash offer regardless of how the appointment went. Because they may be sitting at home thinking about that, and actually having something in their hand gives them the power to say yes, even if you think, oh, it didn't work well, or maybe you thought they wanted too much. So still give them an offer is what my recommendation would be if you've gone to meet with them.
Yeah, 100%. Always give a person an offer if they want, whether they want to sell their property or not. Because what's the worst thing that can happen? They can say no. Like, they say no. That's it. That's the worst thing that can happen. You're not going to get in trouble. Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
They're not going to, they're not going to run you out of town. Nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't submit offers, you're not going to get deals. So
Mm-hmm.
just like David was saying, even if it didn't go that great, or even if it just didn't go great, still submit that offer, because you never know. I mean, I've submitted offers where I didn't think I was going to get the deal, and I still just, followed your philosophy, submit an offer, and got the deal. So you're not going to get any deals if you don't submit any offers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really important thing. And in the beginning, it'll be uncomfortable. And one of my good buddies, Stan Genlin, is an awesome real estate investor too. He always says, if you're comfortable submitting your offer, it's not low enough as well. And I love that.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're comfortable all the time submitting offers and you're not getting deals, challenge your comfortability, start getting uncomfortable, lower offers, submit more offers as well.
I've got another question from Terrence. He wants to know, Terrence Williams said, do you recommend double closing?
Okay. So in all the deals I've done, I personally enjoy assigning contracts. It's a lot easier in my opinion.
Especially when you're starting out, I think you'd want the easy way. You'd want to start with the easy way. So you're setting yourself up for
you can
transact.
Yeah, exactly. Just like you're saying, it's going to be more complicated double closing a deal to have the transactional funding to put in there to line that up. I recommend just learn about assigning and how it's pretty darn awesome, and how one assignment contract you can just transfer the contract to another party and get paid for that. So I would just do that. It's much easier. Understand that process. Google assignment of contract, understand it, use the resources provided to you. I would start that way 100% of the time. I mean, 1% of the deals I've worked on have double closed. So I'm that keen on signing.
And I think Karen A had a similar question. She said somebody told her she should put her properties that she's flipping in a trust. So I'm guessing Karen may be actually flipping and not wholesaling. Any thoughts on that?
When I fix and flip property, I've never put in a trust for myself. And there's a lot of different strategies in different states as well, with, once again, your attorneys. And you could have an awesome attorney who says, hey, let's put in the trust because it has some sort of tax incentive in this state, in this area, or it's protecting yourself in a better way. But I've always bought my fix and flips in an LLC.
Yes.
That's how I personally done it.
And I my general advice to myself is, like, when I'm thinking about questions like that, I personally am able to tolerate more risk in order to get the benefit of simplicity. If I'm just starting out to do something, I don't want to overcomplicate it for myself, in order to actually, like, get the job done or earn that first revenue. So I'm not giving you that advice, but I'm just trying to share the way that I think about it personally. It totally depends on, your risk tolerance, because yes, an LLC could protect you more, and yes, a trust could protect you more. Same thing with double closing. But in the way I would handle it would be just set myself up for the easiest path to earn that first dollar. And even that, I would probably wait a while before implementing things of protection. But again, that's just because I have a higher risk tolerance and I value the simplicity.
Yep. Yeah. Make money first. I mean, understand the principles we talked about, how to protect yourself, the inspection contingency. That's like the most important thing. When I look at wholesaling, guys, the most important thing is having the ability to back out of a contract and not having to buy this property if it doesn't work out. That's the most important thing to protect yourself. I've been in this for 8 years. I've never had to buy a property I didn't want to buy because I've always acted within my inspection contingency time period. That's the most important thing, in my opinion. Yeah, and I totally second what Dave said. You basically, you got a business idea until you're making any money. Do that first wholesale deal. Do that first wholesale deal first. Focus on what's going to get you that deal. Once you have some income, now you can start an LLC and reinvest back in your business.
Betty CV wants to know if she should try getting empty lots under contract. She's in Orlando.
Awesome. So if you're trying to wholesale them, I always say, if you got empty lot buyers, find empty lots. If you got buyers that want to buy houses, then find houses.
Yeah.
And so, so the way I look at it is, like, if I find a house or a lot first before finding a buyer for me specifically, I don't like that situation. I like knowing that I at least have some buyers in this area that want this piece of real estate, whether it's land, whether it's a house, an apartment building, whatever it is. So use the Google Ninja trick. Find those buyers first. Spend 1 hour. Type in things like sell my piece of land and your city name. Sell my land, city name. How to sell my land, and type in your city name, and see what companies are buying land, and talk with them and see where they're buying land, how much they're buying land for, And then if you find some awesome buyers that want to work with you and say, hey, we'll buy any piece of land. We're buying land all the time. Then go find land if that's what you want to do. That's the way my mind works on it. That way you don't work really hard to get a piece of land under contract or get a house under contract. And now you're scrambling like a chicken with your head cut off trying to find a buyer, and you don't find you back out of the contract. The seller's not happy. So it's you could spend literally 1 week to find buyers, find relationship or build relationships with them, and just significantly increase the amount of money you're going to make, because they want that deal, and significantly increase the percentage as well. So that's what I recommend. You got those buyers, find that land. That's what you want to do.
Yep. I like that. Let's see.
Here, I saw Rob real quick. Can you repeat what your friend said about submitting comfortable offers? Yeah, this is a great one because I want everyone to hear this. So my buddy, his name's Stan Genlin. He's crushing it right now. He's bought like over 100 plus rental units, mobile home parks, farm buildings this year. But he always says, if you're not uncomfortable submitting an offer, it's not low enough. So basically, if you're comfortable submitting offers, guys, like you're like, oh, this price feels really nice and sweet. Like, no, it's not really sure how it should be. You should feel like, oh, like a little uneasy. Like, is this going to work sometimes? Like, that's how I'm like, is this even going to work? And know that that's a fine space to operate in. Because I'm sure a lot of us have heard it a lot of times. Like, as soon as you operate outside of your comfort zone, like that's where the magic happens. Because we're doing things differently than we've done before. If you do the same exact things you're doing right now, you're going to stay exactly where you're at. If you start doing things differently, getting outside of your comfort zone, you're going to have different results. And that's really important. So if you're not uncomfortable submitting an offer, it's not low enough. Just remember that one. Because as soon as I heard that, completely resonated with me. And that was something I actually just heard. Like, I was talking with them like a few months ago. So yeah, it sticks with me.
I love that. Yeah. Man, I was going to offer $10,000 on this house, but I talked to some folks and they suggested offering $4,000. And I'll tell you what, for offering something that low for like a structure somebody's like been living in, it felt very uncomfortable. But I did it, and then he accepted it.
There you go. That's awesome. Yeah.
Right. Linda Wynn says, have you ever had a seller under contract? You found a buyer, but then the seller changed their mind. They didn't want to sell the property anymore. Did you let the seller out?
Trying to rack my brain. I personally haven't.
Yeah, I have not either. So my understanding though is, you've got a binding contract. That person signed it so that they would sell you. They agreed to sell you their house. So I think that there is something there for you to legally go after, because they caused damages to your business by backing out of that. But if you've never done a deal before, I'd probably just let it go, because
100%.
now you're focusing on something totally different. It's going to cost you money. And what you really want to do is you really just want to do a deal. Now, I know you'll actually potentially, hurt that relationship with your buyer. But I think I still stand by that advice I just gave. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%, especially if you're just starting out. You're not in this to be a professional legal battler suing someone for a property. You're in this to be a real estate investor and to get deals. And, back when we're talking about in the beginning of the conversation, like principles, there's always another deal around the corner. And if you're going to spend a lot of your time with a headache property, like I did that a lot of times in the beginning, guys, like spend a lot of times on these headache properties, trying to make them work. Maybe the seller didn't want to sell, or just negotiating, or there weren't comps, and spend so much time, hours, weeks. And then I look back on that. I'm like, how much money did I lose out on? Because I wasn't focusing on the process of getting deals. I wasn't focusing on what I needed to do. So at that point, we can't get emotionally invested too much into any deal. We're investors at the end of the day. We got to be rational. We got to know our numbers. We got to make money. We're not in this to become emotionally invested and to lose money. We're investors. So I would say focus on the next deal, cut ties. It's not going to bring good energy to you. Focus on the next deals, continue moving forward, because there's always, always, always a better deal around the corner. So always remember that. There's always a better deal around the corner.
I love it. I think we've answered pretty much all the questions.
Yeah, that was awesome.
There was a few in here. They were kind of duplicates, but okay. Well, there's one more we didn't answer. Can we do one more?
Yeah.
All right. Austin Rodriguez says, what's your process when making offers? And then he added more. He's like, if you're cold calling, do you make an offer on that initial phone call?
Yeah. So everyone does things differently. For me, I don't personally make cold calls anymore, but I always like using the first call to generate interest and build rapport. And then once I get the facts about the property on the first call, I like getting information about the property if possible. What's going on with it, any structural mechanical issues, has the kitchen been updated, the bathroom's been updated. If I have the address, I'm looking this thing on Google Maps. If I'm by my computer, I'm looking at this property, analyzing this property. And I let them know that, I'm going to get with my team. I'm going to get back to you, let you know we're going to really crunch the numbers and try to make this work. So I've always done a lot of 2-call closes, and always going back, letting them know I'm going to meet with my team or my partners, whether you have a team or partners or not, but using that time to really analyze your deal so that you can look at the comps, so you can look at the property, so you can make an awesome decision, an awesome offer where you're going to make a profit, you're going to make a wholesale fee. So you come back to them with confidence. And especially, as a beginner, it's really helpful to do that so that you don't give them a number on the phone and now you got to backtrack and backpedal. So I've always looked at it as the first call is setting and the second call is closing or spiking. I'm trying to set it.
Good volleyball analogy.
Yeah. So I've always done that. And through that process, I've been able to, plug other people in, have people set deals, and I'm able to close them because we're able to do that analysis, meet with the team. And I'm not someone who likes to send wishy-washy numbers or say a price and then constantly reduce it. For me personally, I like being a no-nonsense buyer that people can trust and send them one offer one time and know that I can stick to that offer. And I say that with 100% confidence, and I do that. And so that's the way I like to operate.
I like that. There was another guy who's asked if his questions were invisible.
Yes.
Daniel, it was very specific, and I thought we had already answered it, but I'm going to go ahead and read it since he did not get that. He was basically asking about New York. And he says, is New York one of the toughest markets? What advice do you have for real estate in New York? I'll just let you answer that.
Yeah, man. I haven't done any deals in New York personally. Tips or advice do I have for real estate in New York? There's people doing deals in New York though. There's people doing deals in every single state. So
yeah,
I'm always if you want to learn it and do deals in your area, you absolutely can. A lot of these markets, guys, people are in, I'm in a competitive market. People say that all the time. When I started 8 years ago, guys, people told me what I was doing was so competitive and wasn't going to work. So, I wish I could give you more advice on New York, but if you're there, man, research the market, go to RIAs, see what's going on, see who the movers and shakers are, do the Google Ninja trick, see those people doing deals, look online, and then kind of reverse engineer what they're doing, seeing what other people are doing. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you do truly feel it's way too tough, doesn't work, then maybe you can virtual wholesale, pick a different market. But I always recommend starting out where you're at. I always think it's going to be 100 times easier.
Alex, where can people find you if they want to know more about what you do, more about real estate skills, maybe your social media handle, any of that? Where can we direct?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I had a blast with everyone, man. Thank you for having me here. DealMachine fam. You guys are in a good place using some game-changing software, and just stick to the process, submit offers, you'll be able to get deals. So you'll be able to find me. We'll make it really simple on Instagram at Real Estate Skills, just how it's spelled, Real Estate Skills, and realestateskills.com is where you can find out more. I like the blog a lot of writing on there, training. And then you can personally find me on Instagram at Alex Martinez ATM. Alex Martinez ATM. So my initials are ATM, so that's why it's there.
We've got Elise posting these links in the comments as well. So if you guys can hear that, you can see it in the comments. So just pull that open and look that up before you get off. And thank you so much. Have a great date. Enjoy that chili.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we'll make some chili. Thanks again, David. Always fun hanging out. Anytime you need me here, always happy to help out. And yeah, always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, really appreciate it. We've got some other stuff planned, I think, that we talked about too. So if you guys, let me know if you guys really liked Alex real quick before you get off here. They're already saying thank you with a lot of U's. So I think they really liked it. Rob says,
guys,
bring back.
fun. Yeah, guys, reach out, DM me if you got questions. Instagram's pretty good way to contact us. But yeah, love it, man. Happy to be here, David. So I'm going to go make some chili. Glad we could hang out, go a little bit after, guys. You guys are all awesome. You're in a great place. And oh yeah, one more thing. Everyone here is exactly where they need to be to get where they want to go. Just remember that. You guys are in the exact right place. So keep putting in the work. You guys are going to get those deals, okay?
Janet said, David, you rock too. So
Yeah.
guys, thanks, Alex. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, man. I'll see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.